You've tuned into The Break Room, a weekly conversation about how the city of St. Augustine works, from those who do the work every day. Hosted by the City of St. Augustine's Communications Manager, Melissa Wissel, The Break Room offers a closer look at the city's programs and provides updates on current and upcoming projects. And now, your host for The Break Room, Melissa Wissel.
Welcome to The Break Room. Thanks for stopping by. The Break Room is a place for us to get together for just a few minutes, take a break from our daily work, to catch up with coworkers and hear about what's happening in and around the city. I'm Melissa Wissel, Communications Manager for the City of St. Augustine. This week, we're more around the city than in the city. I've invited a special guest from the county to join me today to talk about the U.S. Census. With me in studio, I'd like to welcome St. Johns County Communications Director, Michael Ryan. Michael, I'm very pleased that you were able to stop by the break room today.
Melissa, thank you for having us in.
This is terrific. So we'll jump right in and there's a couple of things we're going to talk about, but let's jump right in to the census. Every 10 years, we are essentially doing a head count of the population of the country, and 2020 is the year, and here we are.
Yes, we're kind of on the back end of the census right now. The process for us, for St. Johns County, began about a year and a half ago, and the actual census started off this spring.
So we are, how many, what can you tell us about how are we doing in getting people to actually take the census?
Well, the great thing right now, St. Johns County is, depending on which numbers you look at, we're either number one or number two in the state for response rates. So we're right around 72%, give or take a little bit, which is a great response rate. The important thing for us to remember is that why do we want to respond to the census? Because it means federal dollars coming to our county for services and programs and facilities. And
we are still a growing county, which is a good thing and a bad thing, depending on who you ask, but it's happening.
Right.
And as much of that federal funding we can get as possible. When we started this, because I was on the committee with you, the planning committee of getting this word out, but then we hit COVID. So you feel like we're still doing a pretty good job. We weren't really able to get out and get out in person.
Right. The complete count committee that the city served on with the county and the school district and the sheriff's office and many, many other entities, we began last June or July. And so we planned and built a complete communication program and an outreach program, an educational program. We just got it started in January, February, and then the beginning of March, and when COVID hit. And so we had to pull back a lot of our efforts. The great thing is, though, we were able to continue our online efforts and our distance efforts with social media and videos and web presence and stuff. So again, with about a 72% response rate, we're pretty proud of that number considering what COVID could have done to us.
And people were home, so hopefully they took that to heart and got online. And it takes literally 5 minutes.
Oh, it's quick.
Less.
Yeah, it's less than 5 minutes for me, yeah. And there's been some interesting debate within the Census Bureau, because I posed that question, what has COVID done to the overall response? And depending on who you talk to, some people think it could have harmed it, and some people think it actually helped it because people were at home and were more responsive and reading their mail and had time.
Clicking on their computers because they had nothing else to do.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And so I certainly didn't, I don't think it hurt our local response rate as far as St. Johns County goes.
So you were talking about the funding that we get and also the outreach and the videos. We, the city, on our website, citystnaug.com, we've posted a homepage story and shared the video. The video is a really great resource. Talks about school funding, economic development, senior programs, veterans, funding for road improvements, youth programs, family services. There's a lot. Why is the census so important?
Well, that's exactly why it's so important, because literally it's the head count of the population of the county that determines the amount of money that comes into the county, not only in the immediate future, but for the next decade. And so it's about $1,400 per person that we lose for every person that's not counted a year for 10 years. So when you add up even just 1% of our population, that's a lot of money that's not coming into our school programs, special education, housing loans, WIC, and like you said, roads and transportation projects.
It also affects our local government in the sense of the redistricting, our congressional districts.
It does.
Our electorate, if
It
you will.
does. And I think there's a general assumption kind of across the board that Florida is going to pick up at least one representative, if not two. Some people have projected three. Again, there was, with the controversy that surrounded the census early on, a year and a half, 2 years ago, it's going to be interesting to see what sort of overall rates Florida brings in.
We, in talking about the census, it goes through the end of September, I think. But you were also mentioning an October 31st. We're not sure.
Right. It was originally planned to, there's the self enumeration time frame, which began, about March and February, March, April, where you could respond on your own. And then there was a deadline at about April or May where, and I think they actually extended it to June maybe, where if you had not responded, they actually send the workers out into the field to come knock on your door. And so we always recommend that everybody, self-enumerate, respond on their own. That way you don't have to deal with somebody knocking on your door.
Right.
The final deadline was originally at the end of the year, but as you've seen in the news, that there have been some court battles right now at the federal level of when they actually end the census. So there are some parties who want to extend it, and there's some parties who want to end it sooner. So we'll see. I know right now we are absolutely recommending that everybody, you can still self-enumerate. So if somebody's knocking on your door and you don't want to talk to somebody in person, the easiest way is to just get online. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on a computer.
And the web address for that, we've got a link to it on our website. It's www.2020census.gov is that direct web address. But the county has it on the county website. We've got it on the city website, citysanog.com. We have been posting and sharing all over our social media those real short videos. There's a comprehensive video. It's about 4 minutes long. We have it on our webpage as well. And all those individual videos, they're super quick. There are local folks representing. I know Vicki Oakes is on it, Supervisor of Elections. Commissioner Jimmy Johns is on there. And I'm going to forget who else, but they are all local people who speak directly to where those funding sources come in and help the community. I love what Vicki Oakes says on it. As I said, she's our Supervisor of Elections, but she's got a great quote. She says, during an election, your vote counts, but in a census, you count.
Yeah.
I think that's really, and I think the message you and I are sharing here today is get out and get your census done.
Oh, yeah.
Get counted.
It's easy to think you're only one person, but when you attach, and this is almost a horrible way to look at it, but when you attach a dollar value to that of the money that one person, that's $1,400 a year for 10 years that's not coming into our programs and our resources here. So the count of one person or one household absolutely does matter.
Yeah, you add one person and then you have 5 people in your household.
Exactly.
That's a lot of funding that we're missing out on that we want to make sure we're getting. If you're just now tuning in, you are listening to The Break Room. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Manager for the City of St. Augustine. Today we're talking with St. Johns County Communications Director Michael Ryan. We're talking about the census, how I was going to say your vote counts, but it's your count counts.
Yes.
Count yourself. Get out there and do your census. Again, you can find that on citysanog.com. We have a homepage story as well as 2020census.gov. Michael, before we wrap up today, we've got some other things coming aside from the census. We're about to celebrate our 200th founding. Let's talk about that a little bit.
We are. St. Johns County is going to celebrate a 200th birthday or anniversary in July of 21. So we are beginning the planning stages of what we're going to do to celebrate that. And right now we know we have some educational symposiums, some historical talks and speeches that are going to come. We're looking at a time capsule. And we're also enlisting the help and assistance of all of our partner agencies, including the City of St. Augustine, to talk about how everybody can get involved. It's not just a local St. Johns County celebration. It's the county as a whole. Right. So I know there have been some discussions about historical reenactments and possibly a 5K to commemorate it. So right now we're meeting monthly with our internal and our external partners to see how that plays out. I know the Cultural Council is looking at a full exhibit in the Art in Public Places program. So they're in the process of curating that. I'm very excited about that. I think they received a grant to fund that. So it's all coming together right now. We anticipate celebrating it at least on a PR educational campaign for the entire year, and then events will happen from January all the way through July.
We've talked about, yes, you mentioned the reenactors. We're hoping to get some participation from our local reenactors. We've talked, as you said in our meetings, about the library getting involved. I think it's going to be a fun celebration of our own history. Here in the city of St. Augustine, we're so history-centric. I love the idea of branching out to not just the city, but our county and the history of our county. So looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to us sharing that information with our community.
I know, Melissa, we focus on, and rightfully so, focus on the history of the city itself, which certainly should be honored and recognized. But when you talk about the history of Hastings, it's completely different, and how it impacted the county as a whole, or Fruit Cove and up on the northwest on the river, even the history of Ponte Vedra and how that's contributed to the county. So that we're looking forward to the history of the beaches and how they've impacted us. So we're looking forward to exploring that across the entire county.
There's a lot, like you just mentioned, you go from Ponte Vedra, Hastings, St. Augustine, beaches. There's a lot here, a lot of varied history as well.
There is. And even I forget that. We tend to spend a lot of our time at the beaches or downtown in the city itself. And if you've not driven the river, just up on 13 all the way from Hastings all the way up to like Fruit Cove or Jacksonville. It's beautiful. One of my favorite parks is Alpine Groves up in the northwest. So there's a lot to explore beyond the boundaries of the city or just the beaches. I know that's where I tend to spend most of my time, but every once in a while we'll break out and go see the other parts of the county. The
River to Sea Loop is another resource that we've got in the county.
Correct. Yes.
It's a bike trail.
It is.
I don't even know the total mileage of it, but it's big and it's connected, and you literally go from the city of St. Augustine through the countryside, if you will, of the county.
I think at this point you could I think it's connected all the way to Palatka. And you're right. I think you described it right when you said it's big and it's connected. And we've opened up two different pieces in the southwest part of the county, out where I live, up on 207. That trail goes through what would be basically the north side of Hastings. It's beautiful. And you can drive through, or you can ride or walk through the woods and not see another soul. So, and now I believe it's connected all the way to the river.
Great. Well, Michael, we're about out of time today. I will have you come back and join us when we have a little bit more information to share about the 200th birthday of the county.
Please do.
And looking forward to working with you on that. We started out cutting our teeth in Hurricane Matthew.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So, knocking on wood, we've certainly had some weather, but it remains to be seen what happens for the rest of the hurricane season.
Yeah, I suspect we may see each other again.
I believe we will. Thanks again for coming by the break room.
Thank you.
As we wrap up another edition of the break room, I hope we answered your questions. If we didn't, drop an email to info@citysanog.com. Let me know what we missed, or if there is someone you would like to hear from. We want to keep you informed about what's happening in and around the city, and most importantly, that you hear it here from the people doing the work and making it happen every day. Remember to stay connected with the city, like us, and follow us on any of our social media platforms. You'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram @CitySanog. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.
You've been listening to The Break Room, a weekly program about projects and programs offered by the City of St. Augustine. We hope you'll join us each week as host Melissa Whistle and her guests have a conversation that helps you better understand how our city works to meet the needs of our community. See you next time on The Break Room.